Alright guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So the NFL Network had a small segment where they had some of the analysts talk about where they thought the top quarterbacks were going to land this offseason. Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Jimmy Garoppolo, and then Derek Carr. But what was super interesting was one of the analysts was David Carr, right? Derek's older brother, former first overall pick by the Houston Texans. And he kind of, I don't want to say pulled back the curtain, but whenever David Carr is talking about his brother Derek, especially in a situation like this, your ears perk up because obviously those two talk and they get along really, really well. They do have a great relationship. So what Derek Carr is talking about isn't speculation. It's almost coming directly from Derek. So I wanted to play the video clip. We can kind of react to it at the same time. And then there's a couple of points that I wanted to really hone in on and kind of talk about here. Some interesting stuff that David said. So let's not waste time. Let's jump right in.
Uh-oh.
Here we go.
Bonus spins. What could this be?
Yeah.
Oh,
Baby bro.
bonus. Surprise,
Baby
surprise.
bro. Love this for us, David.
Yes. Well, I mean, he's got a decision to make. You know, the interesting part with this is the Raiders are they're in control of the situation on the outside for right now. The problem is they don't have any leverage. I mean, let's just be honest. They don't have leverage to trade. Like, would you trade with the team for Derek if you knew that he's going to play football? So what does that mean? He knows what the Super Bowl is next year. He wants a team that can get him there. He wants to have a chance to play for a Lombardi Trophy. That's what he's always wanted. Since he was 7 years old, he's wanted to play to win the game. He doesn't care necessarily about all the other stuff that goes into that. He's made a ton of money. He wants to win. He wants to be in a stable situation with a good organization that plays good defense, that has some good playmakers, with a coaching staff, and there are some coaches out there that believes in him, right? That will let him do his thing at the line of scrimmage.
Ding it.
You can keep dinging, man. We can talk about this.
I have a question that I want to ask.
Five, but again,
What does this do for the future of Devontae Adams, though? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, I guess
like he went there to
That's
play
another
with,
wheel of chaos.
Yeah, he went there to play with Derek.
yeah,
That's
it
another
does.
really good-
It's
Okay, so the first thing that Derek said that really stood out to me was the fact that he's not looking for multiple teams to bid on his services. It's not like he's approaching this situation almost like as a free agent ready to cash in, go get that mega deal, right? Go get that 5-6 year contract and try to make as much money as possible. He wants to win. And that's something that, you know, throughout his time with the Raiders, it hasn't really been there consistently. Yeah, of course, the Raiders have made the playoffs, multiple times, right, with Derek Carr, but it's never been a situation where they've made that deep run. AFC Championship game, they made it to the Super Bowl. That just hasn't been there. So I completely get where Derek Carr is coming from. Also, he's been in the league. He's been the Raiders franchise quarterback since 2014. He's made a ton of money. I think it's really cool how David is saying that Derek has winning as the number one priority. And if we look at the teams that have been rumored to have interest in Derek Carr, the Washington Commanders, New York Jets, Carolina Panthers, Titans, Saints, and Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a lot of those teams are kind of clumped together as far as win total from last year, where they really project into 2023. But I'm looking at the Commanders, Panthers, and the Jets as three realistic fits. I could see any one of these three teams making a move literally tomorrow. I would not be surprised. I mean, for Washington, they have so much talent defensively. The defense is coached by Carr's former head coach in Jack Del Rio. You look at the offensive skill players in Jahan Dotson, Curtis Samuel, of course, Terry McLaurin. Washington right on the cusp of making the playoffs, and that was a team with quarterback question marks, just like the Jets last season, where they were cycling in different guys, Carson Wentz, Sam Howell late, Heineke, right? He's always thrown in there as well. I'm looking at Washington as a realistic contender. Carolina, Frank Reich, we all know he loves the veteran quarterbacks in Indianapolis. And on top of that, David Tepper has been extremely aggressive trying to figure out this position in the past couple of seasons, whether it's been trading for Sam Darnold, trading for Baker Mayfield, bringing Cam Newton back. PJ Walker has had some opportunities. I feel like Carolina is a little desperate, but the thing is with them, they do own that top 10 selection. So they can go out and maybe target one of those guys or possibly even trade up in the NFL draft to go land a CJ Stroud or a Bryce Young, somebody along those lines. And then, of course, we have the New York Jets. And we all know, right, as Jets fans here, what they have to bring to the table. A great defense, a nice young core offensively that are all on cheap cheap deals. Think AVT, Breece Hall, Michael Carter, Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore. That's 5 players right there, and we haven't even talked about the 13th overall pick, which is something that the Jets own in this year's draft. So if you want to go invest in another offensive lineman, you have that in your back pocket. You have 2 veteran tight ends. The Jets are a favorable, much like Washington, they're a favorable destination for Derek Carr. You look at the Nathaniel Hackett offense. Will Derek Carr fit? The answer is yes. It's a West Coast scheme. Derek Carr has experience playing in that style of system under John Gruden most recently. I do think a lot of dots can be connected here, but that's just one side of the coin. David went on to list off a bunch of bullet points that Derek Carr is looking for in his next team. The first, a chance to play for the Super Bowl. 2nd, a stable organization. 3, a good defense. 4, a team that has good playmakers. And 5, a coaching staff that believes in him. So in other words, will you give Derek the ability to maybe audible, change plays at the line of scrimmage, do his thing, and really work his magic on Sunday on the field? Doesn't necessarily have to be force-fed every single thing. Can we get some quarterback freedom here? Can I be myself, essentially, is what David is saying. So out of those 5 bullet points, the Jets right off the bat have 2, a great defense and great playmakers. And the other 3 are pretty much up in the air that could be determined by the acquisition of Derek Carr. Because let's face it, the Jets aren't going to go out and trade or sign Derek and then not have faith in him as an offensive staff. Right, that just makes 0 sense. Like, what would the Jets be even doing at that point? So that 5th box would be checked. If the Jets land Carr, they obviously believe in him as a quarterback to lead this team for not only just one season, but for multiple seasons. Then we look at the first 2 points. He wants a stable organization and a chance to play for a Super Bowl. I think, again, when we assume that Carr is playing in the green and white, all of a sudden the chances of winning a Super Bowl, the chances of getting to a Super Bowl go way up for the New York Jets, especially compared to what the team had last year in Zach Wilson, Mike White, Joe Flacco, a little bit of Chris Streveler. I think if you can insert Derek Carr into the lineup, fix the offensive line, figure out what's happening at safety, linebacker, strong side and weak side, because we don't know what's going on with Quan Alexander, and then figure out the Quinnen Williams extension, I think you have a great shot of making a deep playoff run. Of course, it's a lot easier said than done. I completely get that, but in regards to winning a Super Bowl, it's just such a hard thing to predict, right? Who can make this Super Bowl year in, year out? Outside of like the Chiefs, Bengals and Bills, I feel like the entire AFC is wide open. Those 3 teams, though, I see consistently making the playoffs for the foreseeable future, but everybody else, it's kind of up in the air. So, again, going back to Carr's checklist, if you will, the last point that he wanted, a stable organization. Now, the Jets in the past haven't really been stable, right? I mean, in the last 10 years, we've seen multiple head coaches, Todd Bowles, Adam Gase, 10 years here. We're talking Rex Ryan, Todd Bowles, Adam Gase, now on to Robert Saleh. And, there's a lot of pressure on Saleh to make the playoffs, to grow from that 7 wins a season ago. So you can make an argument, hey, you know what? The Jets are not a stable franchise, but here's where it gets interesting. If Derek Carr were to be traded to the Jets and they do make the playoffs, all of a sudden it's like, okay, Hackett's offense is working, the defense is playing great, continuing to build off of what they showed last year. Saleh all of a sudden gets off of the hot seat and it's like, okay, we have something here. So to me, I think when we look at what David was saying about what Derek wants in his next destination, the Jets already have 2 of the hardest things crossed off the list: the good defense and the playmakers. Because if you're a team out there that doesn't have either of those 2 things, trying to fix them in one off season is like nearly impossible. Like, to go get a solid core of wide receivers, tight ends, and running backs, and to put out a really good defense on the field is extremely difficult. So we already have those 2 boxes checked. The other 3, it's just up in the air on how the Jets feel. Would they go out and make a move? Now, one thing I do want to quickly throw out before I end the video: Nathaniel Hackett has had an up-close and personal look at Derek Carr last year. Derek Carr against Nathaniel Hackett's Broncos, 2-0, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, threw for just under a combined 500 passing yards in those 2 matchups. And one of the wins came in overtime when Derek Carr led the Raiders offense down the field and walked it off for a touchdown in Denver. So Hackett has seen Carr play at a high level. He has had trouble stopping Derek Carr before in the past. And keep in mind, Denver's defense is really, really good. Okay, so it's not like he's rolling out there with the 26th ranked defense, the 27th ranked defense. No, the Broncos defense is elite. And he got beat by Derek Carr in his worst season, right outside of his like rookie season. In Derek Carr's down year, winless. So just wanted to throw that out there. I think it makes sense. I think it could happen. I would love to hear your thoughts down below in the comment section. So thanks so much for watching. I appreciate it. And as always, go Jets.